Hey, Michelle Cederberg here with your weekly Work-Life Recharge. This week, I am thrilled to be having a conversation with my friend Gare Maxwell, a reinvention strategist. And I got to start right away by asking, what the heck is a reinvention strategist?
I made it up. So I might have made up the title, but I didn't make up the subject of reinvention.
It really does tie into work-life recharge, and that's
Sure.
why I'm so interested to find out your take on reinvention and see if it can help my viewers on their work-life recharge. Reinvent.
Yeah, I became fascinated with whether it's business, brand, career, life, community. I realized there were commonalities around the principles of successful reinvention. In other words, why did Kodak fail, but why has Virgin and Apple succeed? Why have they succeeded type thing? Why do some individuals, when they have a catastrophic life event, whether it's a divorce, a bankruptcy, a firing, why do they absolutely deep six and never come back, and others seem to bounce back and shine brighter than ever before? So it's a subject that I've been studying for a long time, Michelle. It's the subject of my next book, The Reinvention Code. And I really believe and I get asked this all the time, if you were really looking to define it, what is reinvention? From where I sit, it's the ability, capacity, and willingness to remain relevant in rapidly changing times.
To remain relevant in rapidly changing times. Now, you can apply that to work very easily.
Very easily.
But what about to life?
In terms of life, well, let's face it, if we're talking about, how about spousal relationships?
Oh, good one.
And
even relationships with your kids.
Or relationships with your kids. Actually, the kids, that's an even better one to
So family
explore.
relevance, to be able to make sure that you stay connected to them, that you keep things fresh, that you keep having fun.
Well, yeah, because as we know, the millennials now are technology natives, and we're the digital immigrants, and so how do we stay relevant? In other words, if you really want to connect with your kids, you've got to somehow understand they are now growing up in a world entirely different. We never experienced that world, and the longer you complain and lament and bellyache about the good old days and wish they could bring back the 8-track and the cassette recorder, like, you're missing it, man.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking as a guy I'm fascinated to learn from the 16-year-old and the 18-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of society doesn't give them much credit.
Oh, and they're brilliant.
Yeah.
We're so lucky. Dane and I've got 2 kids in our lives that they keep us on our toes in terms of how they see the world, and because they don't see it about when you die, he with the most toys wins,
right.
Type thing.
They don't.
They really don't.
I think the thing that I find fascinating about millennials, for instance, in the workplace, is they're not given the credit for how they are looking at things. So, for instance, millennials have a better idea about rest and recovery, about taking breaks so they can be better sharp. They don't want to work late. They don't want to skip their lunch. And the older generation says, well, they have no work ethic. Well, what if we thought about
I'll tell you a quick story.
Learning from them.
If we do nothing else today, let's get off that they have no work ethic.
They have no work. It's a different type of ethic, and the older generation can learn from them. Because what I'm learning in the whole work-life recharge around stress and mental focus is our brains need breaks. We need to slow down. We can't just be nose to the grindstone 24/7 and be doing our best work.
But we also have to step into uncharted waters.
Yeah.
If you really are serious about being relevant, it means you're going to have to experiment.
But that scares people.
Oh, you're going to have to try things. For instance, you might have to shoot an Instagram video someday. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be something way outside your comfort zone. And you're going to feel the heart palpitations, and you might even get sweaty palms, but you know what?
The good stuff happens outside your comfort zone.
Always. Michelle, you've got so much experience in that, whether it's in athletics, whether it's in training, but whether it's in, whether it's the books you read or the videos you watch or the things that you do, the further you can get outside your comfort zone and embrace the new things that are coming, that are appearing now every single day.
So that's fascinating to me
Yeah.
because I talk a lot about small steps, and what I'm hearing you say in reinvention, your small step may be to try something new,
Totally
to explore
new.
something that you've never done, to get outside your comfort zone with technology or with an activity or something like
I
that.
swear it happened last night before jumping on the plane and coming here to Calgary. Last night, Dana says, let's shoot an Instagram video. I've never even been on Instagram. I have an account, someone else manages it,
Yeah.
but she puts me to the challenge and let's do an Instagram video. And it's like, okay, who else does this? And
I need to try that too.
And there it was. And afterwards, we're high-fiving each other just like we're little kids,
Well, and heck,
because hey,
once
we
you've
we learn how to do something new. But the point I want to make, and maybe we can wrap up on this. The point I want to make is this: what we're talking about, what Michelle and I are discussing, is no different than what was going on in Detroit over 100 years ago when Henry Ford invented
Industrialized, yeah.
the automobile,
And the conveyor belt.
and the assembly line, the production line in Detroit was just rolling these Model Ts. And
It's crazy.
Oh, they would have. And I was at the Henry Ford Museum in Detroit not too long ago, and it was so fascinating to see because you could right away picture the conversations back then, how, for all intents and purposes, Detroit was Silicon Valley over a century ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And guys like Ford and Edison were no different than Elon Musk and Steve Jobs, but the same conversations would have been happening,
Yeah.
and there would have been an incredible amount of resistance to these horseless carriages, because after all, they weren't going to plow the fields nearly as good as the horses.
Yes, can you imagine?
Can you imagine?
So when it comes to reinvention, it's an ongoing thing. It's always going to be happening. And so for work-life recharge, it really is about being okay with being uncomfortable and trying new things, just a little bit, small things, every day, at least once a week. So I'll put it out to my viewers. What's the one thing that you're going to do this week to reinvent yourself in small ways to put that work-life recharge to the test? Until next time, I'm here with Gary Maxwell. Thanks for spending some time with me.
Thank you. I appreciate
And
this.
we will see you again soon.